Thank you for joining me, everyone. It's Jen from Tarot Spirit. I've decided to put out a monthly forecast for May, and I'm not sure if I'll be able to sustain these, but I think I should be able to. So I look forward to doing this. I've decided to use two decks today, and what I'm going to do is draw one card from each deck for each week. So there'll be 4 rows. And then I'm going to draw one from each to give sort of a wrap up and maybe to show where things are headed as we move out of May and into June. Goodness gracious. So I already shuffled the cards. If you saw my weekly reading from this past week, or actually it's for the coming week, I'm so glad I shuffled those cards on camera because I would have never believed the cards that I pulled. But to save time this week, I did already shuffle. So I have this one pet peeve about, it's not a pet peeve, what am I saying? I have this one sort of tradition or superstition, I guess. I don't know. I don't think anything bad's going to happen to me, but I always deal with my left hand. That's one thing usually you'll hear me say things like, don't worry, they're just cards. Like, don't, keep things in perspective. But for some reason, I have to deal with my left hand. Just the way it is. So I'm using the Anna Kay and the Silver Witchcraft Tarot today. So for the first full week in May, let's see, we have the Three of Rods and the Hanged Man. Interesting. Okay, so the Three of Rods, I really like the Three of Rods in this deck. It shows this person way up on top of a mountain, and he has an amazing overview of the world, really. So in the traditional card, it shows someone's ships coming in. And in this one, it shows perspective. So I'd like to read this card as a little bit of both. You're being able to see the big picture, all the little parts that you've put in motion. You start with this enthusiasm to put things in motion. And now you're really starting to see how it's all going to fit together in the big picture. So it's a really great feeling. Excuse me. Now in the Silver Witchcraft Tarot, we have the Hanged Man. So this points to, although we have this perspective and our ships are coming in, they may not be coming in quite as fast as we want because we actually don't see the ships in the Anna Kay. So we're feeling a little bit stagnant, yet at the same time, the other meaning of the Hanged Man, besides sacrifice and stagnation, is gaining a completely different perspective on things. And I always use this analogy. If you were to do a headstand outside, the world looks very different than it does when you're standing upright. And it can make you feel a little off balance, or it can make you feel awe-inspired, but it makes you view things in a completely different way. So I think we're coming into May with a real different perspective. We're really looking at the big picture, and we're able to put things in our lives into a new perspective. We have a new perception on things that is going to influence us in May. And it's a fairly significant shift. Sorry, I didn't have that in the Hanged Man. Okay, so let's go on to the second week. We have the Ace of Swords and the Magician. The Barbara Moore deck is bringing out the big guns. So the Ace of Swords actually came up in the this coming weekly reading. And I don't feel compelled to say this, but because I said it last time, this is about an unsolicited kiss, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but just, so I always love to say that in the background. So maybe someone's going to kiss you. But really, this is about the beginning of mental clarity. Or we start out feeling like we have a very clear, and it makes sense with this shift in perception that happened. We have a very clear idea of where we're headed, of what we want to accomplish. Our thoughts are very clear and uncluttered as we move into the second week of May. And it's paired with the Magician. Now, in this card, it doesn't have it, but in most cards, the Magician has usually all the tools available. So in this version of the tarot, she has everything in that book, all the knowledge in that book. You know, the traditional cards, this Magician has a wand, a sword, a pentacle, and a cup there. And if you think about it, kind of in every situation in our lives, of which there are 1,000, we are in any different part of the tarot. So we may be the Ace of Swords in one part of our life, but the King of Wands in another. And in each situation, we're going to be at a different spot. So the Magician, I believe, has sort of reached the pinnacle of each suit and has, in this situation, been able to master their enthusiasm, their thoughts, their emotions, and really be incredibly grounded. And with all that knowledge, she's realized she's able to manifest whatever she desires by balancing all those different parts of each suit that she's learned in this situation, at least. Now, that doesn't mean in other parts of her life she's, an ace in one and a 7 in the other, and still trying to work through how to navigate in a different situation. But whatever is most on our minds, I would say it's probably more in our thoughts and how we view the world and how we think about things. That's what's most in focus. So in the third week, we have the Empress and the Two of Wands. Another trying to gain a higher perspective. The sun's coming up. So the Empress is all, this is Mother Earth. This is abundance. She's sometimes pregnant, or she is pregnant. This is the ultimate card of nurturing our creative projects, whatever brings us joy and peace and love and, all those good things. So you can see everything's growing around her. She's voluptuous. She's full of life. And when the Empress comes up in a reading, well, it can show you we've had this change of perception up here with the Hanged Man and the Three of Rods. And we've then come back down to the Magician, because that change in perception has made us change our thoughts, and we're sort of thinking about things in a new way. And in the third week, we're already up to the Empress with this new creative or thought process. So the Empress tells us to nurture, keep nurturing what we're manifesting in the second week. This isn't a time to second guess yourself or overthink things. Just let the process unfold. This is a very grounded card. So things may take a while. Don't try to force things. Just tend. Tend to the garden and allow things to grow. It's a little bit of a Seven of Wands energy and even maybe a Queen of Pentacles energy because she's Mother Earth. Think, she is very grounded. So the Two of Wands, we're having a little bit of our passions are sort of split in two. Maybe so we've started, I think, with this idea with the Ace and the Magician, and we've started developing it, and now we've reached a point where we're like, now I'm not sure which way to take this, and you have to make a decision which way is going to work best for this passionate pursuit. And I love how it looks like he has the sun in his hand in this card. And again, he's pretty high up. He's not as high up as these mountains, but he's gaining perspective. So it's interesting. I think a lot of these cards were up high. I mean, she's even up looking down. We're not so much in the thick of it, but she is in the thick of it. So she's coming along in the third week to try to help ground us a little and take these lofty goals and ideas and ground them and make them more practical. So when we're trying to look at things in a more practical, grounded way, then we have to start making some decisions. Okay, so here was my big dream. Here was what I was trying to manifest. Now I need to start making some practical decisions so that I can keep going with my desire. Now, in the last week of May, we have the Eight of Cups. That's been coming up a lot. And the Six of Cups. I love the Six of Cups. So interesting, we went from having a major arcana in each week with sort of the lower of the minor arcana, the aces and the twos and the threes. So we still have a lot of enthusiasm when we're in the aces and twos and threes of the suit for the most part. And so we've had like this youthful enthusiasm, but balanced a little bit with wise lessons we've learned from the major arcana. Now, when we get to the fourth week, our emotions are starting to come into play. So I really like the Eight of Cups. It's come up a lot recently, so I apologize if you're hearing my spiel for the third, fourth time. But the Eight of Cups, to me, has two sides, two parts to it. It's the realization that you need to leave something behind. And it's something that's going to affect you in an emotional way. And as much as you may not want to leave, you know that for your emotional health, you need to walk away from something. And just because you know you're doing the right thing doesn't mean you're happy about it or that it feels good. So don't feel like you have to. Very rarely do people feel 100% great about, leaving something or walking away from something, whether it's a job or a relationship. It's very complex. But at the very, very core of this card, for your emotional well-being, you need to walk away. Even if it's going to hurt other people, you have to be true to yourself and do the right thing and leave the situation behind so you can be okay emotionally. So I think something that's going to help you make that decision is the Six of Cups. Now there's always sorry, I know the lighting isn't the best and these cards are a little dark. So the Six of Cups, there is the side of it about nostalgia and being careful that you don't. Okay, I got it. When you make the decision to walk away, the Six of Cups is going to help you in two ways. One way, it's going to caution you not to remember what you're walking away from with nostalgia that is not remembering things the way they really are. For example, don't just focus on the good times. In fact, I don't want to tell you to focus on the bad times, but don't sit there and remember the good times. Remember that, I'll use this as an example. I had a boyfriend in my 20s. I went out with all through my 20s, and I was young, and I thought, I was insecure. I'm still insecure, but I allowed him to treat me poorly because I didn't feel I was worth, being treated well probably at that point in my life. And several times I did break up with him, but he would come back and say, everything I wanted to hear, it was me, it was, I wasn't treating you right, but, blah, blah, blah. And I would remember all the fun because we used to do a lot of fun things that I really liked to do. We were always doing stuff. But then the final time I remembered, yes, we always used to go, I'm an outdoorsy girl. I like to go camping and, hiking and do active things like that. I would remember that he would ruin, he'd all of a sudden just randomly, it was so bizarre, just start fighting it was just like we're having a great time and he would just snap. It was the strangest thing. But when I broke up with him for the third and final time, I made sure that I remembered, no, Jen, don't focus on the fun things you did. Focus on the fact that he always ended up ruining them in some way. So make sure that if some feelings of nostalgia crop up, you're really remembering and seeing the whole picture and not making things seem better than they were. Or remember only the the honeymoon period of the situation. And, everyone's on their best behavior, whether it's at a job or a relationship when they start. But, after 6 months to a year, people can't keep up that facade and you start to see their true colors. So remember how their behavior was, I guess, at the end. But the other side of this card, which I really want to focus on, is as you're walking away with the 8, use the Six of Cups as ask you to remember your childhood and the simplicity of your childhood. And, these children are just outside picking flowers, throwing them up in the air. It looks like it's near dusk, the moon's out. And remember, that feeling of being outside at night as a child, maybe collecting lightning bugs and, just looking at the stars and the simplicity of life. So make sure when you think about that, try to use things you used to do that made you feel that way, made you appreciate the simple things and the small things that brought you a lot of joy. And turn to those things to help you through your 8 of Cups when you walk away from something. Sorry, I hope I didn't drag on too long with that. So coming up and sort of the summation of this, we have the Hanged Man, which makes, the Hanged Man again. That's why it makes perfect sense. And the Six of Wands. Okay. Overall theme, a change in perception, a change in perspective. Until we learn that lesson, this guy's hanging upside down in the rain, right? We need to let go of our old beliefs, right? This kind of pairs with this too. So we have 2 hanged mans. So really shifting your perspective and looking at things differently is going to be key in May. And what's going to happen when we do that is victory. That's going to be key. So great card. The other card that I'm really feeling, the other 2 cards that I feel that are really speaking to me is in order to manifest what we want in our lives, with the Magician here, we need to get grounded about things. And this 2 of Wands represents choice of passion, which fits in with emotions, right? We need to leave something behind. And it's going to be scary. Sorry, these cards are so dark. But you can be happy again, and it's going to bring victory. Okay? So I'm going to pull one of these Power Thought cards. So maybe, in order to manifest and getting grounded, the Empress grounding us in order to manifest what we truly want, we're going to realize that we need to let something go and leave something behind in order to move forward. So this says, I let go of all expectations. I flow freely and lovingly with life. I love myself. I know that only good awaits me at every turn. Yeah, so this really to me speaks to the Hanged Man and letting go of our old perceptions and the way we thought things were going to go and how we saw the world and how we saw our life panning out. And don't forget the excitement of the 8 of Cups. I forgot to mention the other side of this 8 of Cups is once you left something behind that was dragging you down emotionally, you open yourself up to new possibilities. So by letting go of how you thought things were going to go in this card, start to get excited like a child, start to get excited about the new opportunities you're going to allow into your life by letting go, by changing your perception, how you thought things were going to go. I think you had a very clear goal of how things were going to work out. And then for some reason, you had to change it. So get excited for the new possibilities you will allow to come into your life by letting go. So I think May is going to be a really important and transformative month for us this year, and welcome it, because if you needed to let something go, dragging it out any longer is only going to keep you in the limbo part of the Hanged Man. Don't just sit there pissed off like he is, that he's hanging out here in the rain upside down. Use the time wisely to shift your perception and your perspective, and then things are really going to move in a positive way. So don't fight that if you can. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you. I have gotten a bunch of new subscribers. I so appreciate you supporting my channel and watching my channel. And I hope to see you soon. Take care.